Hi, I'm Olivia Radcliffe, and as you know, climbing walls are back open after lockdown, and if you have been back climbing, you may have been experiencing some things after climbing, such as forearm tightness, achy elbows, achy shoulders, just fatigue in general. And if you have, don't worry, I'm going to be going through some things that you can do to help with regards to treating them, helping you kind of loosen up, some stretching techniques, some self-massage techniques, and hopefully get you climbing and recovering quicker, and get you back on the wall. So one thing you might have been experiencing is forearm tightness, both in the flexors and the extensors. This is very common, especially if you haven't been climbing or training, things like fingerboarding over lockdown. And some things what you can do to help is some massaging, some stretching, which I have videoed for you in this next clip. But just one thing to consider as well, please be careful, just because if you keep climbing and they are still really tight and sore, this can lead to further injuries such as elbow tendonitis, which isn't what we want. So please follow some of these next treatments that you can do yourself, and hopefully just alleviate some of the tightness, some of the tension in your forearms. As you can see in this next clip, I am extending my arm out in front of me and extending my hand back. My other hand is helping to stretch the forearms, and aim to do this for about 5 to 10 seconds. Then switch your hands the other way, making sure the inside of your elbow is facing upwards towards the ceiling. And again, hold this for 5 to 10 seconds. Hopefully it's a bit easier to see in this clip, but try and aim for the inside of your elbow to be facing up towards the ceiling, and you will have to rotate your arm to do so. So these are some exercises you can do on a mat or on the floor. So this first one, have your hands facing outwards as shown in the video, and tilt from one side to the other, and you will feel a nice stretch in your forearms. Again, kind of keep rocking from one side, hold it in certain places if you feel tighter in one area, and after you have done this stretch, twist your hands so they are facing so your fingers are facing towards you, and lean back nice and steady. Hold this for 5 seconds. You should go until you feel a nice stretch. Make sure it's still comfortable and not causing you too much pain. Then rock forwards and then backwards again holding it for about 5 seconds and rocking back. From this stretch, we are then going to twist our hands the other way, so you are like in a plank position, for example, and again you're going to rock forward, and you will feel a nice stretch in your forearms, and also potentially on your finger extensors on the top of your forearms if you are particularly tight in this area. This clip is just showing again from a different angle, rocking forward, holding it for 5 to 10 seconds and rocking back. These are really great to incorporate into your warm-ups as well, to get your wrists nice and warm, ready for climbing. So from here you can then flip your hand so the back of your hand is on the floor. This can be quite painful if your forearms and extensors are tight. Don't put too much pressure through your hands, but again, just kind of do it until you feel a nice comfortable stretch. Again, this will help warm up your wrist ready for climbing, and also can help with the recovery afterwards. Give your wrists a bit of a shake out and do the same. So hold it for again 5 to 10 seconds and aim to do 3 to 4 sets of this. Another thing you might experience is tight and stiff fingers, like I said before, especially if you haven't been training your fingers over lockdown with fingerboarding and that kind of thing. You'll probably jump back into climbing. You might even have 2 hours to climb. You'll go crazy, you'll jump on a board for a bit, and your fingers will probably feel quite stiff and sore to the point where just doing that is quite painful. So please, please, please be careful with this, okay? Please don't just keep climbing at that same intensity. Give your fingers time to recover, because we don't want to give you a finger injury. In this next clip, I've got some treatments that you can do yourself just to help them kind of recover quicker. So things like some stretches, hot and cold treatment is also really good. The key thing is to try and get some blood flow to them, just because, and to keep them moving. When you keep moving any joint, it releases synovial fluid, which is full of nutrients and can help with regards to lubricating the joints. Same with blood flow. Blood flow is full of nutrients to help heal any injuries. And so here are a few things you can do to help if you have stiff fingers.
Start off by bending and straightening your fingers. If you have a stress ball or something like that, this is where they come in really handy for warming up the fingers and for getting them moving. Next, start by stretching your fingers individually backwards. Try and do it to a point where you can feel a stretch, but it's not hurting. It shouldn't be very painful when you do these. Stretch them out individually. I'm going quite fast through these. However, hold each one for about 10 seconds and repeat 3 to 4 times if your hands and your fingers are feeling quite stiff after climbing. Next up, after this, we are going to move on to moving the finger at different joints. So pinch with your index finger and your thumb at the lowest joint, and then bend the rest of the finger, moving on up to the tip of your finger. And you want to be doing this on every single finger. It can be a bit awkward on some of the fingers in the middle especially, but use your thumb and your foot and your index finger to kind of keep the rest of the finger straight whilst you move the other joints in the finger. Again, do these individually on each finger a couple of times round, and it will be really good for getting the fingers moving, again, especially if they are stiff after climbing.
And another thing you'll probably experience is tight shoulders, sore, achy shoulders, especially if you have been on steep boards, on some overhangs, you went a little crazy, you've not climbed for a while, and your shoulders are really pulling. If this is you, I have got some stretches for you and some things you can be doing with a massage ball, or you can use a tennis ball, a hockey ball, anything like that. Which should help with regards to kind of recovery and loosening those tight muscles. However, these things are quite temporary. It will just take time just to recover. You have to know that, and eating plenty of protein will also help.
Place a massage ball to an area of tightness in the shoulders. This is normally between the scapula and the spine. Never really put a massage ball onto the spine. However, with this exercise, you want to roll it onto a bit what is tight and raise your arm and lower it. This is really good because it gets the muscles moving and you are trigger pointing the tight area of muscle whilst you are moving, and the muscle is shortening and lengthening. The next exercise, have your arm at 90 degrees and rotate out to the side, doing the exact same thing. This is making your muscles contract, shorten and lengthen, and hopefully kind of flossing out that muscle with the massage ball, applying pressure to the tight area. With this shoulder exercise, get into child's pose position and keep your elbows on the floor. From here, tap the floor and bring your hands back to tap just behind your head, and try and aim to do 10 repetitions 3 to 4 times, and this is really good for shoulder mobility and stretching after a climb.
Your first session back will probably leave you feeling pretty tired. Even if you have been training quite a bit during lockdown, just going to a climbing wall, especially if you have only got a selected time limit, like two hours maybe, you will probably go down there and go crazy. So you are probably feeling pretty powered out. Like I say, especially if you've jumped on things like boards and overhanging climbs, you will feel tired. But key thing with fatigue is sleep, okay? Please try and get 7 to 8 hours sleep. It will also help with regards to reducing muscle soreness and just in general good health. It is really good. It's also great for preventing injury. Not only that, you want to be eating adequate amount of protein. So the kind of key recommendation is 1.6 grams per kilogram of whatever you weigh. Obviously this might be different for different people. That's just the kind of recommended amount. Not only that, please try and get your carbohydrates in. This is what helps with regards to making helping the protein fix those muscles that are damaged. So carbs are your friend, don't be afraid of carbs. And yeah, so with regards to fatigue, your nutrition and your sleep is the biggest one. Take a few rest days, okay? It's not going to kill you. Don't be in the climbing wall every single day because you can burn out and probably increase the likelihood of getting an injury. Achy elbows is probably one of the biggest ones what people are going to experience coming back. Like I say, even if you have been training, jumping on the walls will probably do that. Don't worry, there is a full video coming with regards to kind of elbow tendonitis, but I have videoed some things that you can be doing just to help with regards to sore, achy elbows. But the main thing with all of these exercises is kind of keep them moving and just to give them time to recover. And with regards to going to the climbing wall, ease yourself into it, okay? The climbs are still going to be there in a few days. Take a day's rest. Progressively increase the load going through your elbows, your fingers, your shoulders, everything else. Whether that is how many times a week you go down there, the intensity you climb out when you do go down. Normally these things are kind of things what you should be doing anyway. A good way to also kind of combat this is plan what you are going to do when you go to the wall. Obviously this might be a bit different. If you're just the type of person that likes to go down to the wall and get on any climb, that's perfectly fine. If you are someone that's a little more advanced and you want to structure your training, plan out your training accordingly. Have some easier sessions involved as well. Like I said, this is also great in terms of a kind of an injury preventative point of view because you don't want to be coming back, getting injured and then being not climbing all over again. So please take it seriously coming back into climbing and recover well basically.
Here are 2 ways in which you can massage your finger extensors. So place 3 or 4 fingers over the area of tightness and clamp with your thumb. You want to then rock over on the tight muscle, which will feel like what we call a tight guitar string. So flicking over that and applying lots of pressure will help alleviate the stress and the tightness. The next massage technique we use is by placing the thumb over the tight area and then extending and flexing the wrist. Again, this is making the muscle contract and lengthen, and in doing so you are applying pressure to the affected area, and this is just helping to alleviate the pressure and the tightness in the finger extensors. Moving on to the finger flexors, this works much better if you have some form of oil you can use as lubricant. So what you want to do is basically start at the top of the elbow and work your way down to the hand. Apply as much pressure as you can and use your thumb in circular motions and really work into any areas that are feeling tight. Don't worry as well about it going red. This is a good thing. This is just showing that you are getting blood flow to the area, which is what we want, because that means that there's new blood, fresh blood full of nutrients going to help repair the muscle. You can also stretch your hand back and then massage, which is putting the muscle on stretch, and then it will basically get into the muscles a lot better and hopefully giving you a much better massage. It will be more painful, but it will be much more effective in the long term. With regards to how long you do it for, it is completely up to you.
So some of these things will depend on how much you have trained during lockdown, and obviously how often you are able to get back to the wall. It depends on if you are back working as well. So yeah, that is all from me. I hope you have found this video useful. You've been able to take some things away from it, and I will hopefully see you in another video coming soon.